Yours is bigger than mine.
He's talking about my Sonic, by the way.
Compensating.
No.
There.
I'm holding this because, of course, we are doing a 12th Doctor episode, so it feels appropriate, and I also need something to bang against my head as we talk about possibly one of the worst episodes of Doctor Who I've seen in a while. Tom, what are we reviewing?
Sadly, we have had to review Kill the Moon, written by Peter Harness, directed by Paul Wilmshurst, and it was broadcast on the 4th of October 2014.
Now, Tom, have we talked about Kill the Moon on this channel before? I think it rings a bell.
I really wish we hadn't, personally.
Should we cut to a flashback of a video we did nearly a year ago called Doctor Who's Underrated Episodes, where we each picked a couple of episodes that we thought deserved more love, and one of them, picked by Mr. Scarrett here, was Kill the Moon. Let's just cut to a few thoughts of that.
I have heard a lot of bad things about this one. I feel it is still underrated.
Anything you have to say for yourself?
I hate
Do you? Right, quick question, and this is not me being a piss taker like I usually do. Do you still agree with the statements you made in that video? Do you still think this episode deserves more love, or watching it again has your opinion changed?
I think you can just get the tape and burn it so no one has to watch it again.
Well, I'm going to take that as a yes. I think. I could be wrong. I think you're a bit more negative than you were before.
Yeah, just a bit.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off by saying that I never really liked this episode. I listened to your points. I didn't disagree with them. I didn't agree with them. I do think that it's not a 0 out of 10. There are some interesting things about it, most notably the end scene, which we'll come to. But as we start, the whole premise of this is a load of balls, to be honest. I mean, the idea of the Doctor feeling that he needs to take a kid to space because she said she's not special, which is very undoctory at all, which I don't like. It is on brand for the eighth series with the 12th Doctor, because he does have that weird arc. So within the arc of the series, it works, but the arc for me hasn't worked and never will.
No, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I just think it's written, the dialogue as well. I mean, I know it's difficult to write for teenagers at times, but you can tell this has definitely been written by someone who is much older than a teenager. She's on about like, oh, I'm not special, and oh, I need to do this, and I can't even remember what she says. She has a whole rant at the Doctor and the TARDIS and stuff, and she's been nicking the psychic paper to buy like blue lightning and think of whatever it's called. It's just awful.
Yeah, it's hard to watch and not like like you're sympathetic and you're reading something or watching something genuinely horrific.
Yeah.
It is just very hard to watch because of how bad it is.
I like the idea that the Doctor sort of sees the error of his ways and, is like, well, why don't we make Courtney the first woman on the moon and everything? That's quite cool, but it shouldn't have ever needed to happen in the first place. The Doctor shouldn't be saying to kids, like, oh, you're not special, you're no one, blah, blah, blah. It's fine for the 12th Doctor in this series, but that's not the Doctor,
Yeah.
I can't think of any other Doctor. Like, even the first and sixth Doctors at their most sort of crotchety and grumpy would never have said that to a teenager.
No.
It just wouldn't happen.
No, they have some sense of, I could really mess this kid up here if I say the wrong thing. So they're always good to the teenagers.
I could totally see like the first and sixth Doctor sort of being a shit to Danny.
Yeah.
But the moment there's kids there, that's not how it works. We've seen that. The Doctor's with like that with Susan. He sort of takes Vicky on as a like adoptive granddaughter, essentially. The sixth Doctor is a bit frosty, but not towards kids. Do you know what I mean? I just find it bizarre, and it's something that the series does again in the Forest of the Night, which I genuinely will need a drink to get through if we do that. That might be another drunk commentary, to be honest. Another we haven't even done one yet, or have we? But I just that's the thing that happens. So they go off into the moon, and the moon has gravity or mavity even. They got that wrong, didn't they?
Yeah.
Cool. And the science in this, and I mean, I know it's science fiction, and I get that. But when the science is so unbelievably stupid, I just couldn't get invested in the episode. And I remember thinking that at the time, I was 14 when this was first on. And even then I was thinking, sorry to make you feel old. Even then I was thinking, this doesn't make any sense. like, I get that obviously Doctor Who's sci-fi, and it does things that, might not necessarily happen. But there's always been explanations I can kind of get behind. I think of, like, the Impossible Planet. That wouldn't happen, but I can kind of get behind the logic in it.
Well,
Whereas this
that
is,
was a good two-parter as well. Like that was well written, well
yeah,
directed. There's loads of bits in that were great. This is a pile of steaming dog shit.
cut to another flashback.
But I still really enjoyed the episode. I thought it did what it needed to do. It was a filler episode of.
That's going to be a little feature for this episode, because I'm finding it very funny.
I hate you.
You were the one that said it. I'm just reminding you of what you said. But my point is that, like, because at least with the Impossible Planet, the science throughout is consistent throughout that story, whereas this, it's fluctuating. 1 minute the yo-yo works because they're in some sort of thing where the gravity's working. Then all of a sudden they go into a different room. Courtney's like flying up because there's no gravity, but she's still able to breathe. And then, even though they're all walking across the moon's surface, which does look great, I will give that the whole look of the moon using Lanzarote and sort of CGI in a black sky and the stars and everything. That works. That looks really cool. But the spiders' germ things are defeated by some like off-brand Dettol.
Yeah.
But then Clara can't fire that when she's on the moon's surface because they're in a vacuum. But they can all.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I'm not a scientist. I'm not in any way qualified to talk about this. But I did go to school and did go to some science lessons. So I do feel like I'm slightly qualified to point out that this is a load of horse manure.
Yeah.
But we meet these three astronauts that are basically there because we find out that the moon is putting on weight and it's growing and it's disrupting the Earth and it's causing lots of damage and everything, and that's terrible. And who have they sent up? Like three of the most unqualified people. They have two comedy relief scientists, and like surely you would have found someone that's going to at least take this seriously. I get the need for comic relief here and there and stuff, but doing it like this.
Yeah, they died fairly quickly as well, which was no bad thing.
Yeah, but that just shows how pointless they were. You
Yeah.
know, it was just like, oh, we need people here to make it look like more than just a one-woman expedition, but we can't have them around for ages because this is very much the ladies of planet Earth, which is fine. I'm all for that, but at least have a decent story behind it.
Yeah.
Courtney still does my head in. I still absolutely can't stand her, and I don't want to be too mean to the actress, but she might want to just do a little bit more rehearsals, because there's bits and like the dialogue again. She's putting pictures online, but in 2014, a teenager is not putting things on Tumblr.
No.
Tumblr was dated when I was 14 and when this was on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was.
Like-
It was beyond dated when I was watching this.
Yeah. No one. Does anybody still use Tumblr?
No, I don't know.
Is it still even on? Is it been shut down? I don't know. But yeah, this is.
Yeah, it's rough.
But yeah, I think she's so annoying, Courtney. I really, I know I'm supposed to feel for her, and I know that she's meant to be an annoying teenager and everything, but it's not like there's not good child actors out there, and it's not like Doctor Who hasn't had good child actors before. And, sometimes they've written a lot better than they were here,
Yeah.
because it was terrible.
Yeah.
But should we get to the crux of the story? The
Yeah.
big twist.
So, basically, they work out that the reason why there's this issue with the moon is it's pregnant. That's an egg.
Yeah, and this for me is where the episode really falls apart. Like, I don't mind the first act really. It's up until that reveal.
It's the setup, innit?
That's what it is.
okay.
It's the setups, and it's like all right, the character's a bit annoying and everything, but I'm still kind of intrigued. The moment, and I do love Capaldi's reaction, that little understated time where he goes, "Moon's an egg," like that's cool. But what he's saying is just nonsense.
Yeah,
What
it's-
what do you mean the moon's an egg? We know what the moon's made of. We know it's not an egg.
It sounds like something you'd say to your kid when you're saying a nighttime story, innit?
That's exactly what I put that in my notes somewhere. I said the moon being an egg is it feels like one of those children's stories. I've got less of an issue with Wallace and Gromit going to the moon and it being made of cheese than I do it being an egg. And I know that's because I love cheese, but that's not the point.
Wensleydale.
We've forgotten the crack. Going on about how like the moon growing is having all these effects, but surely the fact that it would have been an egg would have picked up ages ago. I think if we now, with the science we have, and we've only been on the moon less than 60 years, I feel like we would know now if it was growing and if there was a life form inside it, because the amount of tests that would have been done on the moon, they got samples, scans, I don't know, X-rays. I don't know. I'm not an astronaut. Maybe they didn't even go in the first place. Maybe it was all a hoax. I don't know.
That's going to be one for the comment section.
Yeah, enjoy that one. I'm a moon faker, and I think the Earth is flat. But yeah, that really just doesn't sit with me. The whole, it's just a load of
Yeah, it just makes you want
nonsense.
to like. It just makes you want to stick your head on the blooming hob and light it.
It's just
But going back to Capaldi's reaction though, when he's kind of going through like explaining everything, and got the hologram of what is actually inside the moon, his reaction and just like enjoyment in like it's something new, something he hasn't even seen before. Like so for him, this is fresh, this is interesting. He doesn't know what to do. He's just excited to be there.
yeah.
Like that's a nice thing. 'Cause you don't get to see that from the Doctor very often.
Especially Capaldi, I feel like there are times where he's too much, he's almost too confident in a way sometimes. It's quite nice sometimes for him to be like, oh my god, this is brand new, this is quite cool. I just think that, I don't know, there's something about that, like, I just don't get on with the arc, and that's what it is. Within the arc, it fits well. I'm not going to say it's out of character, because it's not, because this is the character they were doing for the Doctor this year. It just, the whole thing doesn't land for me. I mean, I struggle with Series 8 a lot. I think it's one of
Yeah.
the weakest seasons
By
ever.
far.
You know, it's up there with stuff like season 11 for me. I just, don't get me wrong, there are some, like, listen, I've really grown to like the last couple of years. I really get on with that now. But that and the two Jamie Matheson ones are probably the only two that I would really sort of pick out and rewatch from that series. The rest of it is only sort of if I'm doing a marathon, do you know what I mean? And even then I skip over bits of it.
I just normally skip Series 8, to be honest, if I'm doing a marathon. I can't stand a lot of it. And the stuff that is good doesn't do it justice for me.
But for a long time,
That's-
Capaldi was a one season Doctor.
Yeah.
I just watched season 10.
Yeah, that's just... Well, Season 9 had a better second half. But it's not...
I suppose.
Yeah, like...
No.
I mean, there was a couple of dips, like with the sleepy sandman
Oh God, I forgot about that.
stuff.
I genuinely haven't even thought about that episode in a number of years.
Yeah, apart from like that, and I think there's one other. It picks up a bit, but then season 10 hits, and it's just like he's on his way out, so he's able to enjoy himself a bit more.
Well, I think that's what it is, because there's no way Capaldi, as a huge Doctor Who fan, would have been content with these scripts. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't buy it for a second, you know. Someone who knows the show, and like I've said before, I think Capaldi gets the idea and the concept of the Doctor as a character better than anyone else that's played it. The way he talks about the Doctor in interviews, you know, and the way he said, like, his reasons for not wanting to return and stuff, and how he thinks that the Doctor goes on and on, stops and changes, and that's the whole point of the show, and you know, it's not death, it's just a new way of living. I think he gets that so well and so spot on, but he doesn't get a chance to perform that because he's given tosh like this.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we get onto it, and the decision then is basically, do we blow up this baby and you know, do that
This is
and
where
save
it
the
gets
Earth?
Or
Or do we, you know, or is that unfair because it's a newborn life and it doesn't know what it doesn't know it wants to, it might want to live, but Doctor Who just takes this really weird turn into like a pro-life thing, whilst not even giving pro-choice a voice. And I'm not here to even remotely get into that debate. I mean, it's very clear which side is true. It's pro-choice, but I'm not here to get into that because it's not the kind of show that we're doing here. But for Doctor Who to do this big argument, take the sort of the hot take, as it were, option, and then not even give the other side a chance to even put the ideas across, is mind-boggling to me. Because the moon isn't a living life form. The moon is an egg. Like, there's nothing pregnant. It's laid an egg. So there's no way you can get that sort of pro-choice thing. It's either you kill it or you don't, but not in a sense of, you know, it's the moon's choice. It's going, well, we can't kill a baby. We couldn't possibly kill a baby. And it's like, it's so heavy-handed, and it just doesn't work because you're doing half an argument and you've chosen the wrong half of the argument.
Yeah.
You know, if it was the other way around, and like it was a creature that was pregnant, you know, not that it's the same thing, but look at the beast below, right? Even though that creature is sentient, it doesn't have a voice, but it's still very much the ideas of that creature are there because it wants to keep helping the starship. It doesn't want to be in agony, and even when they stop it, it has every opportunity to just go, nah, I'm done, but it stays there to help. It's not the same metaphor, but it's that idea of even just because the thing doesn't have a voice doesn't mean you can't put the other side forward. And I just think that this just, oh, God.
Yeah.
God.
It fries my head.
Because
massively.
it's so stupid. And the thing is, we're not even arguing, but we're arguing a point here over the fact that the moon is a bloody egg. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's just stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
This is the worst thing we've watched since Class.
Oh, I know. I believe I said that's an hour of my life I'm not getting back.
Yeah, the worst thing is it's only 45 minutes long as well.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not an hour.
That
It's just a
felt
regular.
longer.
It's, yeah. This is the thing. And like I said, that it doesn't give the other chance. And the moon can't speak for itself because it's, my notes say here, the moon can't answer because it's a moon or an egg or something. I don't know. Someone please kill me. I think pretty much sums up how I was feeling while watching this. But we get through all of that and that setup of, right, well, this is where the moral crux of the story is going to be. Do you or do you not blow up? But the things you've got to consider, if they blow up this creature, they've then got to look at potentially blowing up the moon, which would have catastrophic effects on the Earth. Again, not a scientist, but I did go to school. That's not a good idea. You can't just blow up the moon. And the Doctor puts forward this really ham-fisted of, well, yeah, there'll be a dead corpse floating in the sky and all the bits will maybe come back together and form some sort of moon that keeps it relatively similar. And it's like, that's such a cop-out. There is no way, even just looking at chance, if the moon goes into loads of pieces and there's a dead alien in the sky, it's not all going to fit back together nicely like a little jigsaw, like you've just reversed it. That's not how it's going to work. It's going to be all in different chunks. It's not...
Equally, he's insinuating that if the bombs go boom, baby going to be there still. But no, baby going to be scattered across the cosmos.
These are like, what is it? They have like 20 nuclear bombs or something. There's not going to be a corpse. 100, sorry. There's 100 nuclear bombs and apparently like all the moon's going to be scattered, but it's all going to come back each tiny bit. It's not.
Like, and if the floods...
thing's going to disintegrate.
Yeah, and if the floods don't kill people from the moon going boom boom, the fucking nuclear radiation will.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be some sort of an effect, even if it's to the point where it's affecting sort of like satellites and things. There's still going to be quite a massive effect. Like, I know we always joke about, oh, you know, take away the internet. It keeps the world running, essentially. Do you know what I mean? And not just that, but then they make up the thing of, well, you know, there's things that would be like 10 times bigger than the things that killed the dinosaurs, bigger than the spaceship with Adric on, and they're all going to be pelting the Earth at different points. But then they make the really wafer-thin argument of, yeah, but it's not the moon, though, is it? We know it's eggshells, and it's like, no, but we know it's the moon because they would still. The moon landing has been done in Doctor Who. We know that happened in universe, right? There is no way that Neil Armstrong and all that, the collected samples, they go back going, this is a fucking egg. We know it's the moon.
Let's make breakfast.
It's made of moon.
It's made of moon.
It's made of moon. I don't know what the moon is made of, but I know it's made of moon. I mean, I need a minute.
That's all right. You have your little breather. After the Doctor leaves, says, "Oh yeah, it's the moon. Your moon, not mine." You
Oh
sort it out."
God, I forgot about
He
this bit.
buggers off, and leaving Clara, blooming Courtney and
Ludwig?
Ludwig. I don't know. Comic relief astronaut. I'm going with. Off
No,
that.
she wasn't the comic relief one. She was the stern, serious one. Who was? I thought Hermione Norris was actually pretty good. Like,
Yeah, no, she
character's an arsehole, but she plays it very well.
Yeah.
You know, limited material, but does a good job.
But yeah, they're left there to then decide the fate of the moon. Clara calls the Earth and says, "Leave your lights on if you think it should live.
Oh God.
No lighty, no lighty
Yeah.
if you think it'll die." And
That's exactly what it is.
it's literally it. It's a game of. It is.
People will look back on this episode in years to come and go, do you remember that weird week in 2014 where Doctor Who went pro-life and then also did like a Take Me Out crossover? That was weird.
It is Doctor Who plus Take Me Out. It's weird.
How was no?
Yeah, and then that cuts out half the bloody world.
Well, yeah, this is the thing. Like, we'll get on to the whole Doctor leaving them thing because that's a whole other thing. But
Yeah.
the actual principle of they sort of go, right, well, we'll set these bombs, we'll give them an hour, and we'll speak to Earth, and they've established that they can transmit to Earth through the transmission thing that they were using in the shuttle. Now, rather than just send a video message going, right, we need you to come back to us with an answer in an hour, or we need to find some way of voting, I don't know, go on bloody Google Forms, get a Google Doc up, send the link to everyone, and then the guy at the other end can go, right, it's 70%, this 60%, whatever. They decide to go, right, turn all of your lights off, everywhere. Everyone, you know, all the people, even people like, you know, that don't speak English, and all the other countries that don't speak English, I'm sure there's probably translated somewhere, but they've all gone...
TARDIS.
Well, everyone's been in the TARDIS, have they? No, that doesn't work. Your logic is flawed, my friend. They turn the lights off, but... I know.
Moon is egg.
I know. And just the idea then that she's looking out of the window with the tiny little binoculars at half of the Earth. They've cut out the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
They've given half the Earth a voice, and the other half might have, it could have gone swayed the other way because the Earth decides to kill the moon.
Yeah.
Hence the title. And Clara at the last minute stops it. But I don't even know how to explain the Doctor leaving them. I just think that's so. I mean, that bit is taking the character arc of this series to the nth degree because the Doctor is very much still the Doctor, and he just suddenly decides to go,
Aye.
big alien thing in the sky that used to be the moon, 100 nuclear bombs, could potentially wipe out the planet. Oh, you could be fine. You'd be fine. Not a problem.
Yeah, I trust
Not
you.
a problem. It's, I just, there's no need for it. Like, he could have, it's like Clara says in the scene, it's patronising. It's him sort of going, well, you guys are big enough to do this now, and it's like, they're really not.
It's that
They're
line
really
of
not.
time to take the stabilisers off your bicycle.
Yeah, it's just, like, it's a bit different. It's a bit of a different scenario, to be fair. I don't know.
It's painful.
And then, spoiler alert, the moon breaks up, the creature hatches and flies off into the stars, and there's bits of moon just the moon disintegrates.
Yeah, and
Handy.
the Doctor's given this speech about how this is the moment where millions of people look up and is the reason why humanity starts venturing out to the stars.
Which we've established already, it isn't,
No.
because there's plenty of other things that have happened beforehand. I mean, look at the Waters of Mars. It's inspired by, the legacy of a woman that saw the Daleks and everything, not the moon going into bits and just disintegrating into space. How does that even work? It didn't go anywhere near the atmosphere. It just, disappears in a vacuum? What is it? It's not candy floss in a bathtub.
No, it's an egg.
It's an egg! It's an egg!
As you can tell, this is rather painful for us.
Well, you enjoyed it. You just said this episode deserved more love.
Yeah, I retract that statement heavily.
Which
on
bit?
this, all of
whole
it.
section?
The entire section. I apologise for ever saying that.
After this, go to that video. There'll be a time code somewhere on the screen now, and it's hilarious. Honestly, looking back now, it's funny. It's funny. It's funny. It's
For
funny.
you, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny for me because I was right. So, after all of this shenanigans have ensued, the moon then lays another egg, identical to the moon, which again
Straight after sprouting as well.
yeah, lays the moon the same size as it. That'd be like taking a dump and you just dump yourself.
Come close to that once, but no
That's
cigar.
too much. Okay, we're going to shut that one down. But this is like on a whole other level of just improbable. Like,
Yeah.
even if the science, even if it can, for whatever reason, it's not going to be exactly the same. It's not going to look identical, which it does. It looks identical to the flipping moon. And then everything's fine. It's never mentioned again. You look at things like the moon base, and that's always bugged me. That's bugged me since it was first on. The moon base is set in the 2070s or something, a few decades after this. And no one there was like, actually, remember that? That was weird, wasn't it? The bloody moon exploded.
Yeah, I mean, the moon's been involved in a lot of episodes involving the future. It's never been brought up. Even when the Doctor goes with Rose to Platform 1 to watch the Earth go boom, he doesn't.
That.
Yeah, no mention at all.
Obviously, it wasn't mentioned because this episode happens later in.
Oh yeah, no,
but
looking back with this in canon, sadly.
I can't believe we're getting so upset about retconning the moon.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you're Doctor Who fans, guys. One more thing, though, is the end scene, which we both agreed is a very well acted scene between Jenna Coleman and Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
And is a very interesting and key point in the Doctor and Clara's relationship. And the scene is a pretty good and I'd say near perfect scene, except because we're watching the Moffat era, there is another threat of violence to a man from a woman. Because we're not tired of seeing those, are we?
No.
She says, I think the quote was, if you don't, what was it? Tell me what you know or I'll smack you so hard you'll regenerate. She's essentially giving him a death threat of slap to the face, which is apparently okay in the Moffat era. But can you imagine if this was a 13th Doctor episode and Graham goes to the Doctor, tell me what you know or I'll smack you so hard you'll regenerate. It wouldn't happen.
There'd be an outroar.
It wouldn't happen, and quite rightly so, because it shouldn't happen either way.
No, I know, it's a double standard.
It's just, I just don't think you should be threatening violence like that. Like, it's all good going, I will kill you all, Doctor. That's fine. But when it's two characters that's supposed to be on the same side and there's a very realistic threat. I mean, we've seen Clara slap him before.
Yeah.
A couple of times by this point, I think. It's not funny. It's not cool. It's not, oh, look at Clara, she's so edgy. I get that she's annoyed. She's saying things that she doesn't necessarily mean, but not like this. It's
No,
not okay, and it's just awful.
It's the main dampener on for this. What is actually quite a good scene.
I thought you meant the episode then. I was like, it's definitely up there. But yeah, though, it ruins the scene for me.
Yeah.
Because if you took that line out, and she goes, says something like, I will destroy this whole TARDIS or whatever. It's not that bad because that's not feasible. Slapping someone is feasible, and that makes it real.
Yeah.
And that just, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me.
It's I mean, the speech is basically her going on about like, how dare you leave us? You walk our earth, you breathe our air. That makes this your problem too, which is a valid point.
It is, because the Doctor has very much integrated himself with humans throughout most of his life.
Yeah.
And he's very happy to share that, and he's happy to defend them. He's happy to call them out when he needs to, but not on this level of like, when Harriet Jones destroys the Sycorax in Christmas Invasion, what does the Doctor do? He causes her entire political career to crumble from beneath her with a couple of words, liking here to Thatcher, which is enough, But he doesn't just sit and go, well, it's your planet, you blow up those retreat aliens, that's fine, say no more.
Yeah, he actively steps in. And
it's so left field.
Yeah, it's...
I don't like it.
And he gives this excuse of like, I was trying to respect you. It's your planet, your moon. I can't make this decision for you. And yes, he's not always going to be there to make the decisions on behalf of humans and stuff. Which
and that's why we have situations like Children of Earth. This is what happens when the Doctor isn't here, and it goes terribly wrong. It's just, I don't know. The Doctor was there, and he acted like a complete dickhead, and yeah.
Yeah, and then she runs off to Danny Pink after this argument, tells him to go away, and is like, oh, I'm done with him, I'm done. But she's not. She's not going to be done until she gets killed by a bird.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot that this episode really does play it like Clara's gone, because the next time trailer, you don't see Clara in it.
Yeah.
So I was maybe thinking, oh, okay, this could really be... I assume she'd be back at some point, probably for the finale, but I thought we might get a couple of solo episodes here. That would be quite interesting, because that's not really happened since sort of, specials and things like that. Not happened for a while, because we go straight from Amy to Clara, and before Amy it's, specials, but...
Yeah.
I think it would have been quite interesting, and then it's just, oh, she's here in the next episode. It's like, that just lessens the whole point of this, and there isn't a lot of point to this.
Yeah.
And, it could at least give me the payoff of going, this has long-lasting effects, but it doesn't.
Do you know what I'd have enjoyed? If for 2 or 3 episodes we have the Doctor going around on his own, dealing with stuff, and then eventually, like, comes back to Clara for the finale, and then, like, you can see there's been a change in both of them. And then there's either a mutual understanding and they both part ways, or they actually become better people and will stay together.
Well, that would have been much more organic.
Yeah.
She could even come back. He could even still kill Danny, and that's what sort of turns it back into like, right, well, I'll go back with the Doctor now, and that sort of becomes their thing of like, well, he doesn't know that Danny's dead until you get the reveal that he's a Cyberman and all of that. That would have felt much more organic to what actually happened.
Yeah.
Because they have this big argument over something very serious that's happened here, and then it's like, let's not have one on the show. Let's just go on forever. Danny won't mind, and then we start that, and it's just, I don't know. I'm done.
Yeah. Well, it's in the next couple of episodes as well that Danny calls out the Doctor as well. Oh no, that was the caretaker. It was the caretaker. Yeah, we've had the call out.
They don't like each other, but I think they've sort of grown to be civil with each other by this point after the caretaker, because he does help save the day with his little karate backflip thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I've forgotten what happens in the caretaker, and I have no intention of ever reviewing it.
I'll be honest, I've tapped out. I've got nothing more to say on it. I don't know if you do.
No, me. It deserves to burn in hell for all eternity. But like, it was a lot of drivel for one decent scene at the end, I think. Which is a shame. Like, we like being positive on you. And then this was not going to happen with this one at all.
But next week, it will.
Yes.
Because next week, we are back on the old discussion bandwagon, but we're doing something a little bit different this time, because we are looking at, and this will be quite fun for us first, because I love Big Finish, right? And I probably mention it at least once a video on average. That's quite good. I only mentioned it here today, so well done me. Tom hasn't experienced much of Big Finish before, have you?
No.
So we're going to take a trip through, and once a month we're just going to do a like sort of whistle-stop tour, basically, of the Eighth Doctor series. And we'll start with Storm Warning, the very first Paul McGann audio from Big Finish. We're going to work our way through. So if you have any thoughts on those, and if you have a chance to listen, if you have Spotify, they're all on there. Listen along, and we'll be back and do the first 4 stories next week, and plus some general sort of insight into your first proper experience of Big Finish.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good fun.
And then we've got
It's been enjoyable listening to everything, to be honest.
Yeah, don't give it away. So that that'd be quite interesting because it'd be I've listened to these many times. I'm a seasoned Paul McGann veteran, whereas you haven't really experienced much of Big Finish before.
No, I mean, I've a couple of episodes here and there, nothing in order.
Yeah, you did. We'll talk about that next week actually when we talk about how it all started.
Yeah, we'll have a proper discussion about this next week.
But anyway, thank you for sticking with us. Sorry that got a bit ranty there.
Yeah,
I haven't had a rant like that in a while.
It was needed, I think.
Yeah, I feel better now.
Yeah, but yeah, let us know what you think in the comments below.
I'm not a flat earther, by the way. Just in case that wasn't obvious.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Don't forget to share it around. If you enjoyed Will ripping into me for my previous comments on this episode, just to take a giant crap on it now because it is deserving.
Smoke mode activated.
Yeah, share it around.
Check out that video as well.
Yeah,
it'll be in the
give it a
description.
go.
Or be here, or somewhere. I don't know. See you next week.
Bye.
What people do, isn't it? Cool Doctor Who YouTuber now. Ooh, colours. I need a drink.